Hi, welcome to the second Toddcast. Hopefully, just the second. Again, depends on how much I ramble, but the second Toddcast for February 25th, 2012. Still here in my bed, icing my ankle, and I'm still going to talk about my drawings. In the last Toddcast, I told you a little bit about my art history, specifically that both of my parents were very talented artists and were art teachers, and my mom particularly was a very talented art teacher. My dad, not so not so much, but yeah, he could really do some neat stuff, and that was sort of frustrating for me because, well, like every human being, I think I do have artistic talents, but not the kinds that my parents had, and not the kinds that all kinds of other kids my grade had. I was always very abstract, very non-traditional in my artistic expression, and that continues to today, but it's only nowadays that I'm starting to appreciate that. Up until recently, I would do artworks despite what people told me about them, or in spite of my own, what I had been taught to believe is artistic, and what is good art. A lot of the things that I drew, or the photos that I took, or even the things that I wrote, were out of spite for what people would traditionally consider to be talented. As I said, the things that I draw don't look like the things that I draw, and more and more I'm making my peace with that. But yeah, has always been my drawing, but the and my artwork in general. But these drawings, this series of drawings, these kinds of drawings, I've been doing for over 2 decades now. And they started out with sort of doodles in meetings. I remember reading, what was it, Blind Ambition by John Dean, and he was talking about how John Ehrlichman was a prolific doodler during meetings, and he said that people sometimes would mistake that for his not paying attention, but what it really meant was that he could pay attention and do other things at the same time. And I when I was in grade school, I would have teachers comment on that about me, every single year. And some of the things that I did could be distracting, and or other students who couldn't do more than one thing at once would see that and get distracted, or think that maybe they could do it. And all these teachers would try to get me to focus, even though I was already focused. In fact, things were going so slowly that I had to doodle or do other things to keep my mind on it. I suppose had I not tested very well and generally gotten good grades, they would have diagnosed me with something and given me some sort of medication. And definitely, if I were a young person today, that would happen, because we all have to have medications. But they didn't. I dodged that bullet. But years later, in meetings, especially when I was working in New York, I would sort of quietly doodle, and I came up with this sort of design, and this is an example, if you can see it, where on my notebook paper, I would do all these, sort of elaborate drawings, and then using the lines of the paper, I would color them in. And then I got to the point where I realized that, well, what I should do is put some kind of paper, and it was just general, copying paper on top of notebooks, and do these kinds of things, generally with using one of a notebook's borders as a line, and then I would cover them in. This is one that survives. I did dozens of them back in 1990, 89, 90, and this is one that survived, and it's from 1990, as you can, I don't know if you can see my little signature in the back there. And it's called 24D. God knows why I called it 24D, but yeah, who knows? But that's what I called it. I eventually would graduate to just doing away with the lines and making things much simpler and much larger, like this one here, which is from, I could check on the back, but I'm guessing it's from 93, probably 94, although it could be 93, when I was able to expand my drawing, and it was to this, or evolve, I guess, in a way, for lack of a better term. And that was really helpful because that was a time when I was going through probably my worst ever state of depression, and drawing definitely helped me get through it. And I came up with this whole series of things. Especially, I started doing this one. This one's called The Owl. And another thing that helped me get out of that bout of depression was I got a crush. Maybe definitely one of the top 5 crushes of my life, and had a pretty cool crush relationship with this young woman, and I did this series of drawings about us called The Owl and the Pussycat, and she was very much, I guess she would describe her, very much a female. A fashion designer, a girly girl, as she called herself, and I was always kind of the sort of, in my way, contemplative owl, and so she would be the pussycat. And I'm sure there's some of them out there. I'm sure I've given them to people, but I can't find any. I have this whole catch of drawings from that period that I think actually has been lost or was sold in a storage sale, which I think is kind of cool, and I actually kind of hope that's what happened, because if I ever do get famous, and these actually do sell and they become valuable, someone's going to come up with this whole catch of them, and there's going to be this whole story about, are they authentic or are they not? You might think, well, it's a shame that you don't have them, because then I could get the money from that. But hell, if you're not selling any of them, or if you're selling them for like $20 each to your friends every now and then, getting famous enough that it's a shame that other people own your drawings would be an improvement. So, I can live with that. But, okay, I'm running out of time here as far as I can tell. So let me just start showing you some of the drawings I've been doing recently. This is one I've done recently, and it's an updated owl, as you can tell. And I started doing it on a little different paper. It's on poster... Okay, can't get the... Oh, sorry. It's on poster board, and which works much better. I love the little lines that it creates right in here, with the markers that I use. And let me just show you briefly the markers that I use. For years, I've been using these kinds of markers, magic markers. And this is crimson, which is one of my colors. I also like to use ruby for my reds. And for my blues, the best one is just good old navy blue. And those are the colors that I've stuck to. I use extra black for the borders, and then I color it in with crimson or ruby. And I used to do it on Bristol paper, but that just soaked things up too much and created just too much overrun. It was just hard to do, and the new one, the poster board, is so much better because it makes all the cool patterns. Here's another variation on the owl. This is sort of a fat owl, and this is not a pussycat, but it's a variation of the pussycat, and I actually like this one better, of the pussycats, and have a bunch of those. And I've done some new ones lately. I'm not really certain this is what this is, but I like it. I like how I put the circle within the circle. And again, I love what the marker does with on the poster board. Okay, gotta hurry along here. Here's some of the newer colors that I'm working with. This purple and green I really like for a new color, and I'll use that. Now, almost as often as I use the the other colors. Here's a variation of that. And then I have a couple others, old drawings. These, are, as you can see, are in different colors. I call Siamese dancers, and I've been fully aware of how that could be seen as offensive, and I hope people understand that I'm not trying to do that, and I'm clearly not trying to be like, I'm so non-racist, or I have so many Asian friends that I can say that and get away with it. If you're offended by that, I'm sorry, and I don't think I can get away with it. I struggled for a long time with whether or not I should use that as a title, but I'm sticking with it because it's authentic. They remind me very much of these, again, probably racist sort of house drawings that people would have of, these Siamese dancers doing things like this in different colors, and I just like these patterns, and that's what it reminded me of. But also, the ideal of what I wanted these drawings to be were that kind of decoration, that sort of lower class, 99% decoration, almost kitsch. That was clearly kitsch, but these could also, I wouldn't care. In fact, I think I'd be happy if these were considered to be kitsch drawings, because that's who I'm from. I'm from a racist kitsch background, and I don't know. Again, I don't think it's really important that that I'm from, or I don't know. And I have friends who are Asian Americans who are incredibly smart, and maybe they could talk to me about this, or I've talked to them about it, but maybe someone could give me an explanation why I should change that. But I'm sticking with it now, despite that people might take it. It might offend somebody. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to be honest, and I think that's helpful in a way. Just like with this title, I'm sure there's something ironic and honest and to me meaningful having to do with my culture. If you don't know, 2,4-D is a herbicide that probably is going. My use of it when I was a little kid on my grandpa's farm is probably going to kill me someday. So maybe that's what I was trying to say, or I don't know, maybe I was making some sort of statement about my culture with this title. That's what I'm doing. I'm not trying to say that it's okay to have offensive images, stereotypical images of anybody. I'm just acknowledging that happened, and it's a part of me. So we'll see how that goes. All right, I've gone way over time. That's the bad news. The good news is I've run out of things to talk about as far as my drawings, except that I'm going to try to sell them and put them in frames of this type, and sell them sooner or later. So if you're interested, give a holler. And I'll be Toddcasting again, hopefully very soon. And until then, take care.